Have you ever heard of a creature so terrifying it seemed ripped from the very fabric of a nightmare? A beast with the head of a lion, a goat's head sprouting from its back, and a venomous serpent for a tail. This was the Chimera, a monster that breathed fire and terrorized the ancient land of Lycia. But every great monster story needs a great hero, and our hero is Bellerophon, a man whose ambition would fly him to the very heavens and whose pride would send him crashing back down to earth. This is a story of courage, divine favor, and the razor-thin line between being a hero and flying too close to the sun. Our story begins not in glory, but in exile. Bellerophon, a prince of Corinth, was haunted by a dark deed, a shadow that forced him to flee his home. He sought refuge in the court of King Proetus of Argos, hoping to be purified of his past. But fate, it seems, has a twisted sense of humor. The king's wife, Queen Stheneboea, became infatuated with the handsome young hero. When Bellerophon, honorable to a fault, rejected her advances, her infatuation curdled into a vengeful rage. She spun a wicked lie, accusing Bellerophon of the very crime she had intended to commit. King Proetus was furious, but the laws of hospitality were sacred. He couldn't harm a guest under his own roof. So he hatched a more cunning plan. He sent Bellerophon to his father-in-law, King Iobates of Lycia, with a sealed letter. Bellerophon, unaware of its contents, carried his own death warrant. The letter held a simple, chilling request: kill the bearer. King Iobates read the letter and found himself in the same predicament as Proetus. Hospitality was everything. So instead of a direct execution, he devised a seemingly impossible task, a suicide mission designed to fulfill Proetus's wish. He commanded Bellerophon to slay the Chimera, the fire-breathing scourge of his kingdom. Any other man would have despaired. The Chimera was an unholy fusion of nature's most fearsome predators. It had laid waste to the countryside, turning fields to ash and devouring livestock and people alike. How could one man on foot possibly defeat such a monster? Bellerophon knew he needed more than mortal strength. He needed a miracle. He needed a legend. He needed Pegasus. Pegasus, the magnificent winged horse, born from the blood of the Gorgon Medusa, was a creature of divine beauty and untamable spirit. No mortal had ever ridden him. Bellerophon knew that to conquer the sky-bound terror of the Chimera, he first had to conquer the sky itself. He went to the temple of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, and prayed for guidance. In a dream, the goddess appeared to him. She presented him with a magical object, a golden bridle, shimmering with divine power. She told him that with this bridle, and this bridle alone, he could tame the untamable Pegasus. When Bellerophon awoke, the golden bridle was lying beside him. It was real. Filled with newfound hope, he sought out the winged horse at its favorite watering hole. As Pegasus drank, Bellerophon approached cautiously, holding the golden gift from the goddess. The horse, usually wild and unapproachable, became strangely calm. He allowed Bellerophon to slip the bridle over his head. In that moment, an unbreakable bond was forged between man and myth. Bellerophon swung himself onto the back of Pegasus, and together they soared into the clouds. The battle was set. Man and beast, united as one, flew towards the scorched mountains where the Chimera made its lair. From the sky, Bellerophon could see the devastation below, a testament to the monster's power. He spotted it then, a grotesque silhouette against the rock, smoke and embers coiling from its triple maws. The Chimera roared, a sound that shook the very mountains and unleashed a torrent of fire into the sky. But Pegasus was too swift. He danced on the air currents, easily dodging the fiery blasts. Bellerophon, armed with his spear, swooped down again and again. He was like a hornet attacking a bear, using his aerial advantage to strike and retreat. He thrust his spear, wounding the lion's flank, then the goat's. The monster thrashed in fury, its serpent tail lashing out, spitting venom that hissed as it missed its airborne target. The battle raged, a dizzying ballet of fire, steel, and beating wings. Bellerophon knew that simple spear thrusts wouldn't be enough to kill this abomination. He needed a final, decisive blow. An idea as brilliant and dangerous as the Chimera's fire sparked in his mind. He recalled that the Chimera's greatest weapon was also its greatest weakness, its internal furnace. He took the lead tip of his spear and flew directly into the path of the monster's fiery breath. Just as the Chimera opened its lion mouth to incinerate him, Bellerophon hurled his spear with all his might, straight down its throat. The intense heat of the monster's fire breath instantly melted the lead. The molten metal poured down the Chimera's gullet, searing its internal organs and suffocating it from the inside out. The great beast gave one final gurgling scream, convulsed, and fell silent. The terror of Lycia was no more. Bellerophon, astride the triumphant Pegasus, had achieved the impossible. When Bellerophon returned to King Iobates, not as a corpse but as a conquering hero, the king was stunned. He realized this was no ordinary man. The gods were clearly on his side. Instead of trying to kill him again, Iobates showed him the treacherous letter, and, full of admiration, offered Bellerophon the hand of his other daughter in marriage, and even made him heir to his kingdom. Bellerophon had it all: fame, fortune, a princess, and a kingdom to inherit. He was the greatest hero of his age. He had faced death and emerged victorious. He had tamed a myth and slain a monster. He was, for a time, on top of the world. But this is a Greek myth, and in these stories the fall is always as dramatic as the rise. Bellerophon's success went to his head. He began to see himself not just as a hero favored by the gods, but as their equal. His ambition, which had once driven him to greatness, now swelled into hubris, the fatal pride that the gods never failed to punish. He looked at the mortals on the ground, and then at the sky, and thought, "Why should I remain on earth? I have conquered its greatest monster. I belong among the gods." And so, in an act of supreme arrogance, he mounted Pegasus one last time. His destination? Mount Olympus, the home of the gods themselves. He believed he could simply fly up and take his seat among the immortals. The gods watched his ascent not with admiration, but with indignation. Zeus, king of the gods, would not tolerate such insolence from a mere mortal. He didn't smite Bellerophon with a thunderbolt. The punishment was more subtle, more fitting. Zeus sent a single humble gadfly. The tiny insect buzzed towards the soaring Pegasus and stung him sharply on the flank. The great winged horse, startled and maddened by the sudden pain, bucked wildly in the air. Bellerophon, caught completely off guard, lost his grip on the golden bridle. He was thrown from Pegasus's back, and he fell, and he fell, and he fell, down from the heavens, past the clouds, tumbling back towards the mortal world he had so arrogantly tried to leave behind. So what does this ancient story really tell us? On one level, it's a fantastic adventure, a hero, a winged horse, a fire-breathing monster. It's the blueprint for countless fantasy stories that followed. But the myth of Bellerophon and the Chimera is more than just an action-packed tale. It's a profound cautionary story about the dangers of hubris. Bellerophon's initial success came from his courage and the favor of the gods. Athena gave him the bridle, the key to his victory. But he forgot that his power was a gift, not a right. The Chimera, a chaotic fusion of different creatures, can be seen as a symbol of the unnatural chaos that a hero brings order to. But Bellerophon himself becomes a source of chaos when his pride gets the better of him. He tries to upset the natural order, the boundary between mortals and gods, and for that, he is punished. Bellerophon didn't die from the fall. In some ways, his fate was worse. He survived, but he was crippled, blinded, and broken. He was forced to wander the earth alone, hated by the gods and avoided by men, forever lamenting his lost glory. Pegasus, the symbol of his former greatness, flew on to Mount Olympus, where he found a new role carrying Zeus's thunderbolts, a constant, painful reminder to Bellerophon of what he had thrown away. The story serves as a timeless warning. Our greatest strengths can become our greatest weaknesses. Ambition can build an empire or lead to ruin. Courage can defeat monsters, but only humility can save us from becoming monsters ourselves. It reminds us to aim high, but to always keep our feet, or at least our hearts, firmly on the ground. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into Greek mythology. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more myths and legends, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an adventure. Until next time, stay curious.